The wind that whistles through the porticos sounds like his dying screams.
What's this you're doing?
It's a ghost tour.
What?
A ghost tour? Oh, great news. You think? I don't want to do a ghost tour. We should be bumping and grinding with hotties and stuffing our faces. Let's go.
Okay, Chef Bouillon.
This is sirloin steak is what I'm using, but you can use any steak. But I like sirloin because it has like fats and marbling in it, and that adds to the flavor. You get a piece of fat like this, just cut it up real small and cook it too, because it definitely does add to the flavor. Then you cut it up in little bits and pieces like this. I cut it into strips first, and then I cut those strips into little small pieces. And they look like this. You could even use stew meat if you have enough patience to cut it up. Some people don't like it when they get like a piece of bristle or something like that. If you have a picky eater like that, you can just kind of leave the bristle out if you want to, but always leave it in there. What was that?
1986.
No, the type of pizza. Adrian Way or
Appian Way.
Appian Way. Yeah. Uh-oh. Piece of steak on the floor. Maybe you can't have it. I want you to eat me, baby. Unless I don't see it.
Unless you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
These are the official stray fallen meat catchers.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll get the stray piece of raw meat. Ain't gonna hurt 'em. Cutting steaks, make sure you have a good sharp knife. I like to use a chef knife like this one. I like the wide blade on it.
How much steak you're using there?
This is about 4.5 pounds, maybe. I get it at Sam's. It's about $18 worth. The round steak is usually a little bit leaner, a little bit easier to work with and cut up. But I like the marbling in the sirloin. I know if you're just going to cook the steak
Adds
like
to
you're
the
cooking
flavor.
steak, the sirloin is better eaten too. So I just reduce that in cube, like in the steak and gravy. It's going to taste a little bit better too. But I've made plenty of it. Like if it's more than $1 difference in pound, I'll go ahead and get the round steak if it's cheaper.
So round steak's better than sirloin?
Sirloin's better.
Okay, sirloin's better.
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer, Bo?
Either one is fine with him. He prefers ribeye when he gets the opportunity. Salt.
This is the next step.
A little bit of black pepper.
What is those ingredients?
You can take a picture of it. It's Fiesta Verde steak seasoning, salt, black pepper, a little bit of garlic. Powdered garlic. And then the other ingredient you need is flour. You can take a picture of that. And this is very helpful too. It's called Kitchen Bouquet Browning and Seasoning Mix. You can find it where the soy sauce and stuff like that is at the grocery store. It's just basically brown food coloring. It's used for the gravy. Hi, my love. Wash your hands. Another pro tip is make sure all your seasoning bottles are open and ready to use before you start mixing it, because sometimes they take 2 hands to open. We'll go over that one.
Always use plastic gloves.
I actually do, because it's decent. I had them from a turkey. This is a big mess of meat this time, so a little bit of salt. Not that much. Lots of Fiesta steak seasoning. kind of like a seasonal salt. If you can't get this where you guys are at, you can try like.
We can get that one.
You can get that one. Okay. Some pepper. And then some garlic powder. Garlic powder goes a long way. Mom used to use too much garlic powder when she did it. About like that.
She taught you this?
No, I watched her make it, and then I kind of did my own recipe from hers.
I made chili Colorado.
She used to cheat sometimes when she made her gravy. She would use it from a brown package of brown gravy from the store. And I can see that it's not quite red enough, so it needs a little bit more steak. Fiesta seasoning in it.
How do you know when it's all coated all over?
Yeah, you just mix it up real good before it's all coated all over. If you really want it to be good, which I don't hardly ever do it since I cut my pieces so small, you can cut it up and mix it like this the night before, and then let it sit overnight in the fridge, and it'll season the meat, tenderize the meat a little bit more. And that's that. That's going to be a big skillet, so this one might be a little bit tricky to cook. It's a lot of meat. And then the next step is to start getting ready to fry. You think you need a lot of oil for it, but you don't, because when you put that much steak in here, it's going to generate a lot of water on its own. Start with about that much. And anytime I cook steak, there's only one thing to cook it at is high. And then let the oil heat up before you put the steak in. And then we can, while we're doing this, we get the mashed potatoes ready.
So this is, we're waiting for it to preheat right now.
For yours.
This is the
When
next
it all
step.
gets good and hot, which you can just kind of tell. You don't, if it starts to smoking, you know it's ready, but I don't ever let it get all the way smoky, because this is going to cool it down to begin with, but you do want to make sure your pan's getting hot, because this cools it down so rapidly, put so much cold meat into it. And the first thing you want to do when you put it all in there, get 2 tongs or spoons or spatulas, and mix it all up to where all the steak bits are coated with a little bit of oil. And you can see already how it cooled it down so much. Steak out because you'll use it again to put the steak in after it's done cooking while you make the gravy. Now, another thing that I do too, I've been doing this lately, is I like a little bit of onion flavor in it, which you can't really tell, but anytime I'm browning meat or cooking steak, I like to use just minced onions, and I'll sprinkle some of those in there. They're dry, but as they cook with the moisture and everything, they'll plump up, you know, be like little onion bits. And when your steak's cooking, you don't want to stir it a whole lot because you want the bottom layer to cook as best as it can. And I always cook the steak to where It's just about done. I mean, you can eat it like somewhere between rare and medium rare, and then I'll take it out. Then I'll make the gravy. Then I'll put the steak back in and let it simmer. So while that's going, go ahead and take this bitch. Okay, so I've stirred it like twice now, and you can see it's starting to get cooked a little bit. Some of the bigger pieces. Yeah, it's kind of brown around the edges. Now is when I'll do a taste test.
You gotta add more seasoning.
Yeah, sometimes you might have to add more.
The expert palate.
Use a little bit of salt.
This takes years of training.
Salt. Some more. Yes.
That's basically just seasoning salt.
Yeah.
It's a certain special blend. You drain the meat, you leave all the juices in there.
Sometimes I'll drain it. This one I'm going to drain because what you don't want to happen, you don't want to get it to where your meat's going to boil. And this one's putting out a lot of water because there's so much meat in it, so I will drain this. Not all of it though, some of it. Because you want some water
The
in there.
excess.
Yeah, you want some water in there to make the gravy lift, which you can add some oil to it too. I probably should have done this on the other burner over there since it's bigger too, but okay, we'll let this get really hot again. Brown some of it, then we'll start pulling it out and put the meat over there, and then we'll make the gravy. So I just did another taste test, and it's good. So we'll start pulling it out. Make sure you use a slotted spoon so you leave the water in there. That's what you're going to make your gravy with.
And did you add any water? No, it's just all water from the meat.
All water from the meat. So it's basically blood, probably.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Well, you don't add any water to it. It's all blood water from the meat.
Well, Patrick, that didn't work.
Sometimes if you don't have enough water, you don't want to add water for your gravy. You want to add oil, cooking oil, to brown your gravy with. You'll see what I'm talking about when you brown your gravy. The same way as you make biscuits, sausage biscuit gravy and stuff like that. You want to brown your flour before you add your water to start thickening your gravy.
So,
sometimes there's a little piece
so
of steak
if there's not enough of that meat water left, you add
Yeah.
oil to
yeah.
to thicken the gravy.
No, not to thicken it, just to give it kind of a texture.
Oh.
And you want to cover up your meat. So in this case, I'll put just a tad of oil in it. Not like that. Then you get your flour.
Just regular flour or self-rising?
All-purpose.
All-purpose flour?
Yeah. This is what I use for anytime I make gravy. This is made by Pampered Chef, and I love this thing. You can also use one of these vinyl covered lists or a metal one, but it'll scratch up your no stick stuff on your Teflon and everything and stuff. So you want to make sure that's good and hot and bubbling like that, and then you start adding the flour in. got some hot water ready to add to it. So then you mix this. At this point, you can tell usually, okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more oil to it.
So this is kind of like the same thing you would do with turkey gravy?
Same thing, you make turkey gravy, sausage gravy, biscuit gravy, or whatever. You add the flour, and you want it to the flour to brown a little bit before you start adding the water to it. And the best way you can tell that is by smelling it. You'll smell when it's ready.
And this is all years of experience that come into this. Right, Michelle?
I taught him how to make gravy. Breakfast gravy.
She taught me how to make gravy, yes.
Breakfast gravy. He makes all the others on his own. It came from my mama.
And you slowly start adding the water to it. And the key to making good gravy is keep it constantly in motion. And you can't do it without making a mess all over the stove, so just forget about it. Michelle will usually come and clean it up when you're done. And as your gravy gets hotter, notice I got on a high heat all this time, because when you add in the water and the flour, it's going to cool down your pan. It'll start getting thicker and thicker, so I'm going to need more water for this. Give me more water, baby. Nice. No, they can't have that. That's my backup.
Maybe we'll see it.
Oh, back up west?
Yeah.
We have a wave Sonoma here.
You can see how the whole thing's moving as one big greasy mob.
Yes.
That means it's coming out pretty much. You want it just a stage or two past that. Sometimes you'll have to take some out because you want to have a good mixture or ratio of gravy to steak. So sometimes you want to take some of this stuff out if you got too much in there.
So the brown stuff is just for coloring purposes.
Yeah, we'll do that last, second to last, after we season it. We'll add the brown to it. Because most people like the gravy to be nice and brown. Yeah, most people like the gravy to be nice and brown. And at this point, I'm going to add a little bit more water, I know, but now is when I'll put some seasoning in the gravy. So for seasoning, almost the same. Some salt. Salt to taste. I'll turn down the heat a little bit. Some steak seasoning. Always remember you can add seasoning, but you can't take it away. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, you can add more water and dilute it.
Bubbling.
Yeah. All right. Looking pretty good. Good consistency. I like my gravy kind of thick. So now we'll do some kitchen cooking.
This is the brown stuff.
It's a browning and seasoning sauce.
So it has flavor to it?
Some people say it does. I don't know if it does or not.
You tasted it?
No. Some people like a nice dark brown gravy. Some people don't care about the color.
So basically, when you get the little brown gravy packs, it's just got brown dye in it.
No, it's like a flour and seasoning base to it. Usually it's cornstarch and flour. The flour is what makes it thick. Okay, it's ready for a taste test.
You ready to give it a taste test, Patrick? Bo wants to try it. Bo, you want to try some?
It's almost perfect, just a little bit more salt.
No, actually, no, I like gravy.
You don't like gravy? I gave him 3 treats today. He was so excited.
Here, more black pepper. A little bit of water. Anytime you like seasoning, it's best to put a little bit of water in there because that helps the seasoning break down. Alright, I have washed my spoon since my last taste test.
Remember that video we found of Moonja licking the
I
spatula?
was thinking of that.
Like 10 years after the fact? Or 20 years after the fact?
Well, we saw it that night, I think.
Yeah, we didn't even notice it. I don't remember noticing it. Yeah.
Dumping your steak.
Which is funny because I actually licked the spatula too, but it's just me.
Yeah.
I do. I like the drippings from pork chops.
Oh no.
I didn't know.
Kind of soapy tasting.
I said, "Is this?"
It was straight up soap.
Oh, I guess I should have said, then you add your steak.
Yes. And that's pretty much it.
Yep, that's pretty much it. What you want to do, let it simmer for about 10 minutes or so. Mom used to let it simmer for a long time. The more you let it simmer, the more the gravy and stuff will cook in the steak. But
Infused into it, whatever.
yeah. So what I usually do is do it like that. Turn my heat to the lowest setting and cover it up.
And that's the top secret recipe right there.
That's it. Taters are ready to be
Thank
made.
you for sharing. Bo says, "Don't you give that recipe out."
We'll be publishing that on YouTube.